Good evening, everyone. It is 2:30, and I'll call our Nash County July 24th, 2017, 2:30 Commissioner meeting together. Welcome, everyone. Welcome to guests today. We begin our Commissioners meeting with an invocation. Ms. Wells, I'd ask you to lead us in that, if you would, ma'am.
Thank you. Our Father, we come together today to attend to the business of Nash County. And God, we each one care about it, maybe some in different ways. But we know that you're in the midst of this, and whatever we do in your name, that you will follow us and help us get through it. Just bless each member that's here. Bless our members that were not here today, Lord, and just keep us all close to you. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen.
Thank you. Ms. Lamb, you want to introduce the gentleman that is with you today?
Sure, thank you, Mr. Chairman. With me, Kevin Jones. He works for the U.S. Department of Transportation out of Richmond in Washington, but he's a native of Rocky Mount. He, you might have seen his name the last few years. He's had a fundraiser for scholarships for the 4 colleges, raised right at $40,000 this year. Raised $13,000, and those scholarships go to people from the county school system. And he's shadowing me today as part of a leadership development project. He is supposed to shadow an insignificant person, so he chose me. But welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
Welcome to Nash County.
Welcome, Kevin.
If I could, I'm going to alter the agenda just a little bit, if no one's opposed to it, and move to item 6, essential single-family loan program, and ask Ms. McGee. She needed to leave as soon as she could today, so please come forward, ma'am.
Thank you.
Nash County has been awarded $175,000 by the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency under the 2017 cycle of the Essential Single Family Rehabilitation Loan Program. You have an agenda with some attachments, agenda item with your agenda. This program is funded through NC Housing Trust Fund and home funds, and no county funds are needed to execute this program. The program targets properties with moderate repair needs, which are essential. All eligible households must be located within Nash County, including within its municipalities, and have household incomes at or below 80% of the median household income mark. For a family of 4, that would be $39,300. Households must be occupied by individuals with special needs. That means they would be elderly, disabled, a veteran, or children with elevated blood lead levels. And ESFR 17 regulations require that policies be developed for procurement and disbursement, plus client assistance. And draft policies are attached to your agenda item, and we have used similar policies successfully for a number of SFR and ESFR rounds in the past. We're scheduled to take these applications here from August 8th through August 18th, 2017. So our recommended actions are to approve the policies subject to specific amendments by the North Carolina Housing Finance Agency, and authorize the county manager or his designee to execute documents and reports for administering the program.
Any questions of Mr. McGee? Board members? Patsy, do we normally have sufficient numbers within the county to expend these dollars in the proper way, or do we have to seek these out, or you have a waiting list, or how do you stand?
We will take a housing assistance request at any time during the year from
Okay.
any citizen who seeks funds for housing repair, and we mail them a notification and we advertise in the 3 newspapers. We have never had any problem getting enough applications for our funds. The problem is having enough funds for our applicants. And in fact, we dip heavily into what's called the pool that the state has that other local governments don't use. We dip very heavily, and we plan on doing that with this one as well, and use funds that other municipalities and counties can't seem to use.
Right. Okay. Any other questions? And you actually need a motion and approval on this?
Yes, sir.
All right, the motion needs to be the approval for the policy, subject to any changes by the, state, and then authorize the manager to sign those, documents as needed. If I would, could entertain a motion that states that. Moved by Ms. Wells, there a second? Second by Ms. Richardson. Any questions on the motion? Mr. Lamb, there's something I didn't say quite right.
No, I was gonna have you sign the original document, and then it
Okay.
authorizes me to sign future documents.
Gotcha, okay. That's what the motion said, I do
Yep,
believe,
it
sir.
did, it
Okay.
did.
Any questions on the motion? All in favor of the motion, let it be known by saying aye.
Aye.
Any opposed by a like sign? That motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. That quick enough?
Yes, sir.
All right. I will point out, to the press that we do have two members out today, Mr. Bellfield and Mr. Outlaw. Mr. Bellfield is at the National Association of County Commissioners meeting today. And Mr. Outlaw had a situation in his family that he had to be out of town today, with his grandson. So that's why those two are regretfully not here, and both of them certainly wanted to be here. As our board knows, normally at this, second meeting each month, one of the things, or two of the things that we do, or three of the things really, is one of us has a presentation by an outside agency, which we'll have today. We normally have a presentation by a department, within the county, and then, of course, we have it available to take care of those items that may come up during the 2-week period prior to our other meeting. The, county, presenter today, was gonna be something on 911, and because we had two members out, both of those each individually called me and asked me, would we not do that today because they wanted to be here, and certainly I think we need all of them here when we have that presentation on 911, so that will come. I'm not sure where we'll do it, the first meeting in August or the second meeting in August, but one of those meetings, we will certainly take care of that then. But outside the agency, we have Linda Brunson with the United Community Ministries here today, and Linda, welcome, and you're welcome to come up, and we would like to learn something more about your organization today. Thank you for being here.
Good afternoon, everyone. My executive director, Cynthia Carnegie, could not be here today. She had a previous engagement with a potential funder at the Bassett Center, so hopefully we can get some more funding for the Bassett Center. And the United Community Ministry has started back in 1977, where it started out in the Good Shepherd Church, but it was housing homeless family inside the church. And so, and since then, we have been in business for about 40 years. And United Community Ministry has like 4 programs. We have the Bassett Center, which is a transitional housing program for homeless families. We have the permanent supported housing program. They have to do with people that have substance abuse or disability. Also, we have our rapid rehousing program, and also we have the community shelter, the emergency shelter, and the soup kitchen. And the first one that I want to talk about is the House the Children program, which is the transitional housing. It used to be a 2-year program, but now it's a 6 to 12 month program. We used to have like funding from the balance of the state, which are the continual care, but we was cut by $115,000 because the government is saying that transitional housing doesn't work. It keeps people homeless too long, and also it keeps people lazy. But the thing with the transitional housing program that we're running in all, it's totally opposite, because we get our family housed within 1 month to 7 months. We work with them on their case management, on savings, life skills, and try to get them inside subsidized housing. And last year we housed we only have like 12 rooms, and we housed a total of 53 families, and out of those 53 families, 38 went into permanent housing, and which is great because usually with the average transitional housing program, they usually just serve like 12 families, and they stay there for the whole 2 years. But I usually try to get them in and get them out. And the main thing that help us too is they are mandated to put money into savings at UCM, and which will help them to pay off their back bills, utility bills, and also back rent. And so, and with that program in place and also with the life skill, it helps the family a great deal. And not only do we accept like single mothers with kids, also married couple and single men with children. And this program now has been here for about 19 years as far as like the transitional housing program.
Now, is that at the Bassett Center?
Yes, that's the Bassett Center. Yes. And so, and as far as like this year, for the last 6 months, we had already housed like 31 families so far for the last 6 months, and which include like 110 individuals, and also 16 of those attained permanent housing. And so right now we put a policy together with Rocky Mount Housing Authority so that they can make like the homeless family as preference as far as like get them into subsidized housing. And so hopefully when they vote on that policy, they're going to HUD, I think it's August the 11th, and they're gonna vote on that policy and everything, and to make sure, you know, that making everything official is for, in the past, they have been helping us as far as like getting families into, giving them priority and all. And so some of the services that we offer for the Bassett Center is that each family that come into the Bassett Center have to get a mental health assessment to see how they're dealing with the issue of being homeless. And also we work with them on case management, so each family have a, you know, separate case management plan, and mainly to deal with that budgeting and saving, and also for them to see jobs and all. So they're just not laying around there all day long doing anything, but they have to get out and do something. And not only that, they have to bring verification of goals completed. So I meet with them on a weekly basis to make sure that those goals are completed. And so we have had a great success rate as far with the Bassett Center. And now the permanent supported housing program, we are going to end that August the 31st of this year. And this program, it housed like individuals with substance abuse or either mental health issue. And the reason why we're into this program now is because the government is saying that, you know, to go to the housing first model, which is you house them first and then you wrap the programs around them. But on the other hand, they're telling them they don't have to attend case management meeting. They can move anybody in the house that they want to, and this is with your tax dollars, you know, that they can do all of this. And so our board said, you know, no way. And so not only have we stopped the program, but also Greenville Shelter and some more agencies have discontinued their program, because even though that we're helping them, but on the other hand, we are enabling them. And wherein that we had people that came through United Community Ministry into the permanent supported housing program who had substance abuse, you know, addicted to drugs or whatever for about 42 years, and now they're clean and have been clean for a few years now. And so it's like they're undoing everything that we did. And so even though it's $94,000 whatever, but those families that the individual that we do have into the permanent housing program, we're helping them to relocate and also, you know, get them into other housing. And Nash Realty, who we have been dealing with as far as like renting the property from them, they are going to keep the amount of the rent the same for the individual that want to stay there, and also to try to work with them. And so, which is good, so we're not just sending them back into the shelter or whatever, but we're trying to get them into subsidized housing and also, you know, low rental properties. And the rapid rehousing program, this is a program that we started back in 2012. And this program helped individuals to get out of homelessness quicker. And what they want is for the families and individuals to get out of homelessness within maybe a 30-day period. We know that's not possible with everyone, but it has helped a great deal as far as like us having to put more people into housing them. For one thing, we have the funding there to help them to pay off some of those utility arrears and the rental arrears, which are barriers for them. So it eliminates the barrier for the people, but we don't pay 100% of anything. They have to bring something to the table too. And then we have some private landlords that are working, you know, with us and all, but we have to go out and check those sites and to make sure that they pass HUD inspection. So we're just not putting families and individuals anywhere, so, which is a really good program. And then our community shelter, so far this year, we have, in the last 6 months, as far as like 330 men and women ages 18 and over has been in our community shelter as far as like this year. And also for the last 6 months, as far as like food served there, as far as the soup kitchen and the people that living at the community shelter, it was like 3,469 individuals that we served in the last 6 months. And as far as food boxes, for the last 6 months, including, it was like 2,000 that we served. And so, and we have to turn those report in to United Way every 6 months, and so we do keep account of all of this, and also we have like the homeless management information system that we have with the state, and we have to put all our data into that. And so, and also, we have like individual vouchers that we give out to families and individuals for our food pantry, and to make sure that the same people are not coming every week. They have like a number, and where they might come like so many times a month. And now too, we're targeting like the elderly, because we know for one thing, the first 2 weeks of the month, the elderly, they're doing fine, but the second 2 weeks, it's sort of hard for them. So we're making sure that we're targeting them, giving them a call and telling them, come and pick up the food boxes or whatever. And so, and the ones that we pick up the food boxes from, Walmart, we pick up food from them, and also the baker, Giving Hands store, we pick up from them, and McLean. And so all of this that we're bringing into there is helping to help the community, and and keep people from being hungry. We might not give them what they want, but at least they're not going to bed hungry at night. And so, and that's mainly those of all our programs that we have at United Community Ministry. And as far as North Carolina, United Community Ministry was like the only agency that actually had all the homeless program, into one agency, with the transition housing program, the permanent supported housing program, the rapid rehousing program, and also the emergency shelter and the soup kitchen. And so, but we're doing a great work out in the community, and we do thank, everyone that is helping us to keep this work going on. Any questions?
Questions of Linda? I'm afraid I've always got a question. I apologize. Of course, Mr. Bellfield, one of our missing members, I believe, is on your board.
Yes.
And this year, we looked at your situation with reduced funding quite a bit, but are all four of these organizations served by the same board, or do you have a different board for each one of these, or do they all come under that board?
It's the same board.
All on the same
Yes,
board? Do they run separate budgets for each one of these programs?
Yes.
So you have a separate budget? Okay.
Yes.
That was just something I couldn't quite get a clear understanding of during our budget sessions this year.
Yes, because some of the money we received from the Emergency Solution Grant, and then which we have to do with the emergency shelter and the rapid rehousing program, and then we received some from the continuous care, which is the permanent supported housing, and that's what we used to get funded for the transition housing program, but we don't receive that anymore. So not only was our cut, but it was just cut all over the United States as far as like transition housing program.
So what we fund is the
Bassett
asset.
Center. Yes.
Well, we actually fund the organization, is what you know, pointed out during budget time. It's not a separate entity for each one of them. We just give it to it, and I'm not sure what they did with it. I guess
It goes to the Bassett Center.
all
We
goes
did
to the
have
Bassett
Center,
Center.
yes.
Okay. I guess that's what Mr. Bellfield meant, but I didn't quite grasp it at the time, but I see that now. So none of the county's money goes to either one of these other three programs?
No, because
All
we
goes to
applied,
the
it's
Bassett.
like for the Bassett Center.
Okay.
It's like
Yes.
designated.
Well, he told us that, but I just didn't quite understand it, because I felt like it all came under the same board.
I do too.
And quite frankly, I only knew about the Bassett Center and the community shelters. I'm glad you came today, even though one of them will not be there much longer, to know there were two other entities involved as well.
Yeah, but we had the permanent supported housing now, I think about 13 years so far, and helped a great deal of people.
First time I've heard of it, quite
Yes,
frankly.
and some of them are really successful as far as like they move out on their own. We have one of them that he's managing another substance abuse house, and another one, became an entrepreneur. And so we got some really good success rate and everything. For one thing, we incorporate the life skill classes into that.
Right.
And so when we don't have those life skill classes, it's like
Yeah.
people don't have a goal to shoot for, and then plus we have to mainly give them intensive case management.
Right.
They get upset and everything, but, they're happy at the end that we did help them, and stayed on them.
Linda, in our Twin County area, how bad a problem is affordable housing? Are we getting better, or are we getting worse, or
Well,
you seem to do a lot in this field, so you hear that word all the time, but where do we stand?
it's really bad for one thing. Now with some of the 2-bedroom, you're looking at like $450 a month, and most of the people like have our own fixed income. And so that's why it's really important that we get this collaboration with Rocky Mount Housing Authority and hopefully some of the other local housing authorities so that they will give like a certain amount of homeless individuals and family, you know, a space as far as like housing, you know, and then they'll have the rest for the other community. So hopefully that'll pass through and then, you know, it'll help us out a great deal to help, you know, with the homeless situation. Because right now we have like maybe about 50 families that are on the waiting list,
For some type of affordable housing.
just homeless. Either they're going from place to place, living in a motel. And just last week, just had one family of 6 little kids and everything, you know, and they was at to the motel, but they ran out of money. So I called one church and they ended up paying for one night, and then we got them, made them as priority to get them into the Bassett Center. And so, I mean, it's really bad. Our phones are ringing every day, maybe about 6 calls a day about people that don't have anywhere to go. And then in the Bassett Center is really the only family shelter around here within a 50-mile radius. And if they go down to Greenville shelter, it's only like 4 rooms, and they have to be out like 8 o'clock in the morning. And where are you gonna go with
8 o'clock in the morning.
babies, you know, 8 o'clock in the morning, and you got about 5 kids? And so it's really bad. So, and we have like Halifax and everyone else calling us. And see, now with the balance of the state, they put us with about 5 other counties. And so those counties are calling us, but we don't receive any funding for them, so we can't, you know, it's like house them.
So counties that fund you get priority then, I guess.
Yes, I mean, it had to be a really, really bad situation for us to bring them in. You know, because, you know, we got to take care of Nash and Edgecombe County, take care of home.
I'm glad you do that, 'cause
Oh, yes.
I'd probably let them all in.
Well, we only have 12 rooms, you know, and that's why we try to get them in and get them out and everything. Yeah, and so, but the rapid rehousing is helping. So if they do have some type of income and they are homeless, then we can refer them to the rapid rehousing program. They have to score a certain score. And then we can put them into the rapid rehousing program and give them like some subsidized, as far as like assistance, as far as like financial assistance, maybe pay their deposit and first month rent, and then probably like a partial rent for a couple of months. So that program is great.
I know we're always talking about it in prisons, but like in the Bassett Center, what is your return or recidivism rate? Do you,
Very low.
very low, well, that's good.
It's really low because for one thing, with the case management, I'm really tough with them in case management. At first they like me, then they hate me, then they love me. Because I got them where they need to go.
Like, they hate you and love you.
That's right.
That's it.
Yeah, I mean, some of them I actually have to,
Kinda like a young kid and a teenager and an adult.
yeah. I mean, it got to the point where some of them, I actually had to take their debit card away from them because they had so many overdraft, and then take them to pay their bills, and then when I could trust them, then I'll give them the card or whatever.
Right.
And then, you know, after a while, they started getting better and putting money in the savings, because you're talking about over $300 in overdraft. I said, the bank loves you. So then I get them to get the SSI debit card,
Right.
so
So you
you can't do no overdraft.
Right.
Yeah, so, they can't stand that.
I would ask you if you work with wives, but you probably wouldn't like that. Any other questions? Great information.
Very good.
Thank you a lot.
Okay. Yeah, a few brochures.
Okay. We'll get those to them. Thank you.
And here's, even though this is the old one, I haven't had a chance to update it, but you'll see some of our success stories in there.
Okay.
And
Thank
those
you.
were some families that was in there.
Sure.
All right, thank you. Rob.
Greatly appreciate it. All right, item 5 on the, let's see, excuse me, item 4, Agricultural Center lease agreement. Mr. Stover?
Good afternoon.
Good evening, sir.
I'm going to pass these out. These have just a little bit of background information to kind of help explain what
Okay.
I'm going to be talking about here.
Like you got busy the first day you got in Nash County, didn't you? Look like it.
These cause more rain leaks.
Yeah.
Rain leaks. That's what the last one, I think everybody did. That's good information.
Okay. I had 10. Okay, sorry.
Yeah, I know about it too. You can take it in my.
and I included on the front cover really everything I'm going to talk about with this. Donna Wood is going to come up at the next meeting, the August 7th meeting, to with the motion and with there's an agreement and a formal acceptance of this lease agreement. We've got to get some forms filled out and everything, but the bottom line is the Ag Center, there's a federal employee housed at the Ag Center, and we have a lease agreement, or it's currently called a lease agreement that's in place that USDA doesn't like that word anymore. They don't like to pay for utilities or rent space, so they've gone to a new structure called a contribution agreement. So we had a meeting with a representative from USDA last week, and he shared this agreement that's in the package that you've got. And what it is essentially changing the words so that they've got a different structure for still being able to contribute a share to pay for or to fund the space that is allocated to that person at the Ag Center. The original agreement was supposed to, I think they're supposed to be 5-year agreements. I think the last one was signed in 1992, so we're a little overdue for one. And this has come up recently. They've got a new structure and have had instruction to say, we don't pay for utilities and leases anymore. This is, you can figure something out, but we're as of October, which is the end of their the federal fiscal year, the current agreement will be null and void. So this is an effort to put a new agreement in place that will be effective for 5 years. What it basically amounts to is there's not much change in what will physically happen with the Ag Center and the employee. They're asking for some documentation of certain programs and meetings and educational outreach packages that are already taking place. They just want an agenda and some proof that those things were taking place in order to be able to have those educational events be paid for on a by-event basis. And what it amounts to is we were getting about just shy of $317 a month that went towards utilities and rent, and now we'll get, I think it's 32 individual events at $600 an event over the 5-year period, which brings us to about $19,200 that we will intake in revenue from the agreement, but it's $60-70 more than what we would have gotten at the $316 a rate over the 5 years. So it's the same general setup, it's just calling it something different. This is the structure that the feds have kind of sent us and said, look, this is the only way we can see to still contribute and have a structure in place, because they understand the importance of the relationship. They understand the need and for us to be able to have a partnership between them. There's just no structure in their guidelines that allows us to continue under the current agreement. And so what you've got before you is the new agreement. I just wanted to put these in front of everybody for everybody to see them so that we could see it, certainly for the attorney to take a look at and make sure that there's nothing out of sorts on it. And then we have some forms we have to fill out that we're working on getting filled out that we'll have ready to be executed hopefully by the next meeting in order to get it in front of them and for them to process it on their end, because it's certainly got to go through their levels of approval as well. So that
need no action today.
I don't need any action on this today, but Donna's going to have some stuff and I don't want it to be something that it's just going to be a consent thing on the next one. It won't really be as long as we don't have any changes from Mr. Durham. So.
Right.
But that is essentially what you're looking at. It's not it's just another way of calling it a lease agreement, and it's just without calling it a lease agreement. So.
Vince, you hadn't seen this till now, but you'll be prepared in August by the board.
And if you got any questions, we got a contact with USDA that we can get some answers out of. They seem to be fairly responsive. So I think we can get them answered fairly quickly. And there's a good little package of stuff we've got to fill out in order to go with this as well, just to get us set up in the new process.
Didn't you have some state involvement in that too? Are they involved in this, or is it just between the federal government and us?
Just the federal government and us, as far as I understand.
Okay. All
And
right.
it's essentially one staff employee, one employee from federal government, so housed at the Ag Center.
Gotcha. Were you gonna move on into item 5?
I will, if you guys are happy and satisfied. If there are any questions to ask, I'm happy to move on to the next one if you
Any
like.
questions from board members?
Well, basically, it sounds like maybe you're saying, the state is saying, they just want some kind of accountability of what, on paper, what is being done, what we're paying for.
Yes, ma'am. The gentleman from USDA, he walked in, he says, look, I understand
Right.
that we're asking you to do something for the same cost that we've been doing in the past, and you didn't have to do this before, but luckily, they've worked with us, and they've worked very hard, because he had to do this in 20 counties, he said, himself, and he was riding around to each and every one of them to have these meetings to say, we understand that this is what it is, and that you've had this in the past, but this arrangement allows us to continue to fund this program without having to say there's a whole lot of legal implications if we're paying rent and utilities somewhere. So, anyone else?
Go ahead.
Unless anyone has any other questions, I'll hand out the stuff for the next one. These are a little bit thicker, but and this I would like to get some. There's some action on this, and I got the same number of copies. So let me just, if you want to give these to the press, these are contracts for relocation of the water line.
Mr. Hill? Oh, yes, sir. Good.
Okay, what you've got before you, the first page is a cost estimate that was prepared by Wooten Company, our consultant, that we have do a lot of consulting for us. The DOT approached us a few months ago. They have got a bridge project on Bachelor Road that is going to be replaced. Every few years, you'll see them go and replace dilapidated bridges, and the one on Bachelor Road is no exception. The one over Saponi Creek is wood timber piles and rather in bad shape from what I saw the day I was out there. But unfortunately, the relocation of it, the new piers will be in conflict with our existing water line that is in place out there. We are outside of the right-of-way, but they are taking a little bit larger area, and you don't want a bridge built directly on top of your water line. We can't get back to it to service it. So the practical thing to do is to relocate the water line to make way for the DOT's bridge. DOT approached us. They've agreed to go into a reimbursement agreement with us for relocation of the water line. And what you see in front of you are 3 different documents. You've got, well, 4 different documents total. One's the cost estimate of what we anticipate all the cost of the project to be. One of the first one in DOT, the first DOT is a water line, a utility relocation agreement, which is just the structure of the standard form that DOT requires us to show that what our portion of it is and what their portion is. And if you look through it, you'll see I've got them filled out to show that DOT's portion of the cost is all of the project cost. There's another agreement that is I believe it's called a UPEA, which is a utility pre-engineering agreement, which basically is the cost of the design to move that line as well. So we have to hire a consultant to design the extension that it would take to relocate that line. So that's part of the cost, and if you'll see in there, that's an agreement that we have a 100% agreement with DOT for reimbursement. And then the last thing is a contract from the Wooten Company for the design services to actually do the redesign work that would take to relocate the line. So there's 3 contracts in front of you, if you will. The first 2 are the DOT, and the third one is the Wooten Company. The Wooten Company has done the agreement and done the estimate for us to populate all those DOT agreements to get it done. Wooten Company is the firm that did the original design on the water line. They are our typical on-call design engineer for work in that area. They're the most familiar with it, and they've given us what I feel is the best price for doing the actual design work. And they are very quick response on the estimates and everything else. So what I need is, if I may, today, I need an action to approve each one of the contracts, either in whole or in separate. I don't know how the best way to do that is, but so that we can enter into these agreements, get them back to DOT, so DOT can then turn around and execute the full agreement that agrees to reimburse us for our cost in doing this, and we'll front the cost and then turn around and be reimbursed by DOT for all of our costs that we incur. But DOT is trying to start their project on the bridge in November of this year. So we feel like this timing on this gives us enough time to get it designed by Wooten, bid out on the street by a contractor, and get the work done. The work is probably only about 2 to 3 weeks worth of work by the time it's said and done on our part to relocate the water line. But the permitting and processing, you'll need about a month of that. So we'll need the time we've got before November to get started, so that we can wrap it up before DOT tries to get started.
Questions of Mike on this item?
I make a motion, we approve all three agreements.
Oh, let me get to that
You got a
point, sir.
question?
A question first. Anybody got a question?
So we will be reimbursed for the total?
Yeah.
Yes, ma'am.
81?
And what they do is, what the original scope would have been would be for me to come to you with the preliminary engineering agreement, and then a month or two later, after we had it designed, come to it with the relocation agreement, the two separate DOT ones, and just had them done at two different ones. But with the timing and them wanting to get this thing started in November, we just wanted to go ahead and run them. We can run them simultaneously because they're just, it's a fairly short order contract.
I've done 2 of these, and DOT always paid what they said.
Only question I'd have, Mike, and if Mr. Bellfield was here, he'd ask the same question. The percentage of the engineering cost versus construction cost looks extremely high to me. Is there a reason for that, and has DOT is expecting a 45% rate on engineering costs?
Well, I think the 22,000 total is construction observation, bid administration, and design.
Right, that's what it says,
So I believe it's for start to finish, all of it.
It is.
They estimated it based on other ones that, when we had them pull the contract and pull the scope together, they had just finished another one just like this in Greene County, I believe, for a bridge replacement. So I understand it was in order with those lines. I have asked DOT that, but from my understanding, it's within scope, but I could certainly talk to them about it.
Of course, I realize it's not the county's money, but state money is taxpayers' money as well. It just seems to me like a lot of money. Did we, and you probably didn't, but did you ask any other engineer what the cost may be to do that engineering?
I did not for this, just
Yeah,
due to the time
understand.
constraints.
Okay.
What's the observation cost?
Well, it's 12,000 for design, 10,000 for observation.
Right.
A total of 22 on a $5,300 project.
50,000, yeah. Okay.
I know you like that because you like 6% fees.
We certainly can go back to them and negotiate that. We can hold off on the Wooten contract if you'd like today, and turn around and just get the agreement set up for DOT so that they give us 100% reimbursement.
Working for private firms in the past, observations where they make money, right? I mean, isn't that
Well, I don't know why an inspector for 2 weeks while you're relocating would be worth $10,000, but again,
I would agree. The permitting on this job is gonna be the cost of it, simply because you'll have to walk that permit through to get it done in the time frame. But typically you would see just shy of, if it was a $10,000 design, you'd see just shy of $10,000 on the observation. But you're just paying a lump sum, time fee at that point.
I don't really know how to take it move forward. I do think it's a lot of money to do what you gotta do. But Mike, you do this more than I've done a lot in the past, but not recently, and you do it. Do you feel comfortable with it?
I feel comfortable with the design and the and the construction observation, we can try and do some of that ourselves. Our guys are spread a little thin, but they'll have to be somebody there that's got to perform the record drawings and the observations for that.
Right.
So I'm sure that's what part of that 10,000's for the final records and the final closeout on the certification for the project. So
Has DOT seen that number?
yes, they have seen the number. They
Okay.
but they are, yeah, as far as they're concerned, they're ready to go with it, and they've got to move it to do their bridge. So
Okay.
it is one of the good parts of it that the line is technically, there's an easement right there where this line is installed, and that is one of the main reasons why DOT hasn't come to us and said, well, you've got to move your line at your cost, because
Yeah,
we've got
I
an
think
easement.
we're fortunate because we don't have to move
That's
the
right.
alcohol, which is normally the case, so it's out of the right of way in an easement that
It
we
is an
obtained.
easement. It just happens to be in
Yeah.
a good size easement right
It
there.
could have been much worse. I guess I would at this point entertain a motion, which I really have. Dan, is your motion okay, as stated?
I mean, how you gonna tweak that motion to say if we can do better on the 12,000?
You could, well,
Huh?
Yeah, you could,
Do two and hold, well, okay. You want a whole one? I mean, is that gonna hold up the project?
what we need to get started on the design. I need to get in front of DOT first, but we can pull the observation portion out of the contract. Even if you go forward with it, we can just say, guys, we're gonna do part of this observation ourselves and go forward, and we can still award the contract and just not do that line item of the contract.
the only issue I got with it, the Wooten Company somewhat expects this board to question their fees, which we always do, and they normally always come back with a less fee. But I'm just as conscious of spending DOT's money as I am Nash County's money, and I'm sure the rest of this board is, because it's all the same pool of money. When you get to the end of it, it's the taxpayers that pay the bill. I don't like that. I think it's too much of a fee, quite frankly. The manager has recommended we go ahead with it, and I don't want to alienate my manager too much either.
You can go ahead with it, but have a discussion with Wooten about that part of the fee and see if we can get them down a little bit.
Okay. Okay.
So in
Dan,
that case, let my motion stand.
I'll let your motion stand. Is there a second to Dan's motion? Second by Ms. Richardson. And Mike, what we're saying is we're gonna approve all three of the items you presented. The only thing we're gonna put in your lap is kinda like we did with the security over at the Ag Center recently, is to have a conversation with Wooten, let them know this board wasn't happy with a 45% fee. We thought it was excessive. And see if you can alter that, and of course, then we can change the numbers, it
Sure,
be less.
absolutely.
I have a motion on the floor and a second. All in favor of that motion, let it be known by saying aye. Aye. Any opposition, say no. Motion carries.
Thank
Thank you, Mr. Toth. Next item on the agenda. I will say for the staff at our last meeting, I had the board to give the chairman a little bit of a appraisal on his first 6 months, and the only thing, or not the only thing, but the most negative thing I had was I was allowing the second meeting of the month to last too long. Sir? Yeah, but, and so I'm trying to improve on that, not the first meeting, but the second meeting. We have decreased the time of the first meeting, so I'm gonna move as quick as I can here. Next item is, okay, we finished up the items outside of what the regular meeting is for. Mr. Outlaw normally takes this part, but I'll move forward with it. Boards, committees, and special reports. I would ask District 1, Ms. Richardson, if she had anything to report to the board at this time.
Other than we had a meeting last week and we had one of our new members that is born presented. And she worked very well, really good worker and real dedicated, so she's hit the ground running and doing great. So we still need to work on 3 more eventually.
Still
Thank
need 3 more.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Yeah, we
I
can.
thought we had it down to 1, but,
Oh, no.
okay, maybe I don't remember it. All right, anything else, Mr. Richards?
No, sir, that's it, thank you.
All right, Mr. Bellfield, District 2, I've got one, or actually 2 items that are shared. Ms. Richards, anything on juvenile crime?
No, we have not met since.
Okay. Ms. Wells on Upper Coastal Plain.
No, we passed our budget, so.
Passed your budget, no other meeting. Mr. Combs, your 2 items.
No report, neither committee has met since our last meeting.
All right, no report. Ms. Barnes,
Well, I have a lot to report.
while we were saving you time, man.
I guess I can start with East Point. I checked on their website today, so my picture's no longer on their website.
Progress.
Yeah.
You heard our
Miss
feeling.
Pearls is,
You cried, didn't you?
so
Pearls is
she's
still-
still on the board. Yeah, Miss Pearl Finch. They don't have Nash listed either. It's 11 counties without Nash, so. And I think you're all aware of Columbus County has began the process of disengaging also from East Point. Donna Boone and I met this morning with Dave Peterson with Trillium. He wants to make sure, maybe the press can help with this, that the 24-hour call center number is publicized to everybody, because if they call the East Point number, then East Point's not gonna refer them to Trillium. So we wanna make sure that they get, everybody
You know
knows.
if our 911 center has that number?
I don't know.
Certainly
Somebody
verify
has
that.
it because they're making
I
calls.
know you've had some, you've had some
Right.
responses, so
The
they should
sheriff's
have.
department
But
does.
if, Stacy, if you could just check on that, make sure. And you want to tell the number for the benefit of the press, Ms. Martin?
I sure will. It's 1-877-685-2415.
And that hotline is for briefly what?
That's the 24-hour access to care line, which is like a crisis call center line. They will triage the callers to wherever it needs to go.
All right.
So Donna and I had an orientation with Dave Peterson. He will also be giving a presentation at our conference, the Commissioners' Conference in Durham, on what you need to know about your LME MCO. So I recommend all the East Point board members attend that presentation. So they'll be up on what they need to know. We will be part of the Central Regional Advisory Board with Trillium. They have 3 regional boards, because with Nash, it's 25 counties now. So then they have 1 governing board, but they have 3 regional boards. Donna and I will attend our first meeting tomorrow with Trillium. And we also have a Consumer and Family Advisory Committee. It's called CFAC. Every LME has one. And we could use more representatives from Nash. They try to have representation from all 3 disability groups, the intellectual disability, mental health, and then substance use. So right now we have 2, but we can have up to 3 in each of the 3 groups. So Ed Masters, which I'm gonna get his contact information, he is now on our CFAC board. And Ronnie Stone is the other one. So, and that's not anything that the commissioners, we don't appoint those, they do it in their own group does that. So, and they also get funding though from the LMEs. And that's all on that, and
If you don't mind, just send the commissioners a brief email giving those names and their duties, so we would have that.
okay. And this is, moving on to Nash UNC. This is just for your information of all the grants that the foundation approved last month, and that was, our community paramedic program was one of those grants. The hospital board met on July 6th, and that's when the board was informed of Mr. Tuning's retirement, the executive committee and UNC will be working together to identify an interim, and then we'll be working together to find or identify a new CEO, and that could take up to 6 months probably. Our budget was approved at the last meeting. That budget includes the implementation of a new computer system. It's called Epic. It's what the other hospitals in UNC system use, and it should be a big improvement for the billing and coding. And so I think that's already taken place. They've already started working on that new program. They're also going to be hiring or have hired 20 international nurses, and that's a 2-year commitment. They'll have 12 in the ED, and they'll have 8 in the cardiopulmonary support unit. So hopefully that will help out with some of the wait times. The other thing I wanted to mention is the agenda was sent out before our meeting to the commissioners, and it was actually sent out before some corrections were made by the staff. So I just suggested that we just send the minutes and the agenda after the hospital board meets instead of before and after, if that's okay with everybody. Does that make sense?
Say that again, Ms. Moore.
So they sent out the agenda and all the information prior to the board meeting. It got sent out to the commissioners,
Right.
like the same time that I got it. And well, there were some corrections that needed to be made. And, yeah, there was some closed sessions. So I just suggested that the commissioners probably didn't need to see it before the meeting, or maybe just an agenda, but not with all the,
I
all
would
that
certainly
information.
like to get the agenda before the meeting, so I would know if something was on the meeting that month.
Okay.
That I would have some question of you.
right.
If that would be okay, the backup data. So what prompted you to ask for that change is because they had some errors in the packet?
Well, number one, it's not secure. You know, we have a Board Vantage
Yeah,
app that you
Right.
have to log into. All that information is secure. And so if you're sending it out email,
Sure.
that,
It's unsecure.
that's not secure, you know, when it goes out to all 7 commissioners. And so, and some of that information was budget sensitive
Mhm.
in that email. So we could, what,
Well, in my meeting with the chairman, that kind of defeats what he and I agreed to, is the fact that the board would have the material
okay,
prior to the meeting, but I certainly didn't think it was gonna be sent out unsecured. Is it not some way that we could supply it only to the staff and let them send it to us through our board agenda so it remains secure?
I like put it on our board app?
Yeah. Or
That would
through
probably be
that
better.
system.
Mm-hmm.
I'm just asking, because y'all know I'm not the brightest person in the world. I would like to continue to get it ahead of the meeting if we can do it in a secure way.
Okay. Well, that was my thought when, you know, it got sent out, and then,
Oh, I understand your concern, certainly, I'm not criticizing that by any means, but it.
and a lot of it, you know, I just didn't know if we needed a lot of that information up front, but,
Well, it is harder, it's easier to ask questions prior to something happening than it is to get
Oh, yeah.
satisfaction after it happens.
all right, that's why I'm asking.
Okay. So maybe look at that just a little bit more.
Okay.
And if you just can't get it secure, I certainly understand. Mr. Lamb, am I off track? Because when I get it, I go through and read it. I don't know the rest of you do, but.
The foo-fah last time was that they sent out some closed session matters that should not have been sent out.
That confidential information in the last one.
Well, could they not hold a closed session? Send
Well, it
out,
sounds
Yeah,
like it
they
was
shouldn't have. I
an
mean,
error
and they
on-
corrected that. They then sent out a new packet
Right.
that did
Right.
not include that closed session information. I think it's probably a reaction to that, just wanting to be more secure.
Excuse me, Ms. Moore.
No, I think that's all I have.
Anything else?
That's all.
All right. Thank you, ma'am. Is there any update on broadband on Mr. Outlaw's list? Well, first of all, excuse me, Ms. Wells on community college, anything to say?
Nothing new.
Nothing new on that. RPO, only Wayne would know, broadband committee, Mr. Combs.
I think we're about ready to come with as good a coverage as we can get from a provider. So it's, I think we've looked at it and what we've come up with is about the best we're gonna get. With what's, you know,
Well, that's the-
nothing's gonna be perfect, but I
Right.
think we'll, should be ready to bring something to commissioners, hopefully next month.
I think the goal was to try to bring two commissioners in August.
Yeah.
Want to make certain a lot of people in the county happy that we at least have come to terms with it and moving forward. And of course, the commissioners' benefit, it does bring a cost to it that we're gonna have to decide how we want to handle it. Mr. Lamb has ways of making magic out of stuff like that, so hopefully he'll do it again. And of course, you know, we're always pursuing all grant opportunities
You look at the board, it's closed.
for anything like that.
Board
All
is
right.
closed.
Ms. Wells, District 6,
I do want to give a report on Turning Point Workforce. There's a new company in Northampton County that came to, and asked Michael Williams, because he trained them some employees. They need 125, and he trained them. And when they went to work up there, they were so pleased with them that they gave Turning Point a $10,000
check.
to
Mhm.
within their programs. And so he wanted us to really stress that they're willing
They
to
can
train
do it.
somebody. And I thought that was good, because he said the man said it couldn't be done, and it was done.
Do you know what that company name was by
I
chance?
don't know, but I'll get it from Michael.
I'm just curious. Go
And while
ahead.
I'm on go, I'll go ahead and do STEP.
Sure.
Most of you already got an invitation to the business summit.
Mhm.
It's actually on the Thursday morning before our convention starts at lunch, but
Right.
it's gonna be very good. They're gonna have a breakfast. I figure if you have breakfast, most people come.
And where's that?
The
Nash
STEP,
Community
the
College.
thing that have it.
She
Janice
has,
sent
she has
something.
contacted us also.
Yeah, I signed up.
I think we decided we could do that and still get to Durham on
It's
time.
only supposed to last not over an hour and a half if it lasts.
Good.
The STEP,
Yeah.
the STEP program on August 15th. You'll let me know. Okay, I'm sorry.
Get into my shorts.
I won't repeat what you just said. Anything else, Ms. Wells?
Yes, sir.
All right. District 7 Tourism Development Authority has not met. As you all know, we meet twice a year. I gave you the material from our budget last time. Rocky Mountain MPO has not met again. The Shell Building, Mike, correct me if I'm wrong, but we have a pre-bid conference on that tomorrow at 2:00, and bid to be taken on August the 3rd, which is following week at 2:00. So hopefully we'll have that project bid to come in within the budget that we have put forward for it, and hopefully we'll be underway with that project. It'll be a great accomplishment. We've been working on that one quite a while, and I just certainly feel when we get that Shell building up, we'll move it very quickly and move on to the next one. Next one won't take so long, because we've got it all figured out now, haven't we, Mr. Stokes? I'm getting there anyway. Gold Rock improvements, our next meeting on Gold Rock is on August the 9th. Since our last meeting, the sheriff has still been working quite a bit in Gold Rock. I did notice in yesterday's deed transfers that, or maybe Saturdays, whenever they go out, that the property where the Gold Rock Inn is located has been purchased and closed on. So I think you'll see a reuse of that property pretty soon now. They're still trying to acquire one additional property. The group that bought that is, which is a group of local businessmen from Nash County, bought that corner there that owned the adjoining property. So I would say our efforts to go rock certainly are beginning to pay off some, and I think our meeting on the 9th, from what I'm understanding that we're finding, should bring to closure on the second property out there. And that's really all I kinda want to say until our next meeting about that particular item. Any questions from any commissioners on any, committee reports? Staff or commissioners? Seeing none, Next item on our agenda is a closed session, to consult with the attorney, about, employees or employment, economic development, which I don't think we have any of that today, but to update us on some legal matters. And as we always ask, Mr. Lamb, are we expecting any action to be taken on anything on this agenda today?
There's a possibility,
On
regarding.
the contract?
The contract, yes, sir.
Okay. Pretty insignificant. If the press wants to wait for us, that'd be great, or we'll have Mr. Lamb contact you as soon as we adjourn.